Literally less than 18 hours I arrived from Hajj. May Allah accept from me and from every person who went to Hajj and answer every dua that they made. Ameen ya Rabbil Alameen. One of the main things that happened in Hajj this year, and the whole world was talking about, was the high temperature, the extreme heat. And subhanallah, you're walking miles and miles. As a matter of fact, I checked on my app, it says you walked today 24,000 steps. And it's so hot that you see people around you fainting, young. One of our group, one of sister in our group, she was 20 something and she fainted, and another brother, also 20 something, fainted. And as you have heard, almost 1,000 people passed away. The beautiful part is that Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he said, whomsoever dies in Hajj will be resurrected making talbiyah. He will be resurrected saying, Labbaik Allahumma Labbaik. One of the times when we were walking, and you're talking about hundreds and hundreds of thousands, and the maximum I saw on my phone was 117. 117. And as we are walking and sweating, and may Allah accept, we saw a convoy of 5 cars, GMCs, scrolling by. And when we asked, they said, a member of the royal family is performing Hajj. And wallahi, since that day and every moment in Hajj, I'm thinking about the heat on the Day of Judgment. My beloved brothers and sisters, Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam, he said, Tudna ash-shams يوم القيامة على الخلق حتى تكون منهم كمقدار ميل. Hadith fi Sahih Muslim. The sun will become as close as 1 mile on the Day of Judgment. Now, I'm looking at the crowd and we're hearing the news of people passing away, and the sun is 90 million miles away. I beg you, give this khutbah a lot of attention, because this is the time to invest. This is it. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gave me this opportunity, and maybe over 1 million more people, to see and know what does it mean when we hear Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam says that there will be people under the shade of Allah when there's no shade except His shade. We always hear this hadith, and we heard many khutbahs about the topic, but I really appreciated and loved this hadith this trip. And I said to myself, I'm going to pick 1 or 2 or as many as I can from those 7. I want to be under the shade of Allah when there's no shade except His shade. If here in this earth where the sun is so far and people are dying, on that day the sun is so close and everybody's sweating, and the sweat is according to the deeds. Some people, the sweat is up to their ankles, some up to their knees, some up to their hips, and some, may Allah save us all, are drowning with their sweat. Allahumma sallim ya Rabbil Alameen. So my brothers and sisters, let's see what our beloved Rasul sallallahu alayhi wasallam, what prescription he gave us to be saved on that day. But before we go there, I just want to clarify that when you hear the shade of Allah, that does not mean the sun is behind Allah and then it created a shade. No, that does not mean that at all. The shade of Allah, some scholars said it is the shade of His throne, and others said the shade of Allah by itself is a creation that will be created on the day of judgment. Now, Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam said, and the hadith is in Bukhari and Muslim, and we all know the hadith, سبعة يظلهم الله في ظله يوم لا ظل إلا ظله. You heard this hadith many times. Today I want you to hear it with a different perspective, thinking yet you are under 130 degrees walking, and at least the brothers are half naked in Hajj, they're not dressed with thick stuff, but I feel so bad for our sisters that are dressed with everything in that heat. Subhanallah. الإمام العادل وشاب نشأ في عبادة الله ورجل قلبه معلق في المساجد ورجلان تحابا في الله اجتمعا عليه وتفرقا عليه ورجل دعته امرأة ذات منصب وجمال فقال إني أخاف الله ورجل تصدق بصدقة فأخفاها حتى لا تعلم شماله ما تنفق يمينه ورجل ذكر الله خاليا ففاضت عيناه. Rasulullah ﷺ mentioned that in that heat and in that moment when the sun is so close, there will be seven kinds of people that they will be told, come under the shade of Allah. And I want you to imagine that we are walking in that Mina, and then this convoy, he said, Ya Muhammad, come with us in the car, come in the air condition. This is nothing on the day of judgment. Imagine, Ya Abdullah, Ya Farooq, Ya Khalid, Ya Ahmed, Ya Mahmoud, Ya Fatima, come under the shade of Allah. How do you feel? That you've been selected to come out from that heat, excessive heat, and then you are chosen to be from the VIP under the shade of Allah Azza wa Jal. Allahumma ya Rabb, I beg you with the best of your names, for everybody who's sitting with us today, and their mothers and their fathers, and everybody who's watching us, Ya Allah, put us under your shade when there's no shade except your shade. So the first one is Imamun Adil, a just ruler. Here the scholars differed. Ruler, they said, no, this only applies to the Khalifa. He has to be just Khalifa. But the others said, anyone who has been assigned and entrusted to take care of a group of people, whether a president, a king, an emir of a masjid, a father, a mother, a principal, a teacher, anyone who's in charge of taking care of people, he has to be adil. He has to be just. He cannot cheat his people. He has to be honest with his people. Imamun Adil, and he was the first on the list, on the top of that list. Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, he said, ما من عبد يسترعيه الله رعية يموت يوم يموت وهو غاش لرعيته إلا حرم الله عليه الجنة. حديث متفق عليه. Listen يا أخوان, no one whom Allah entrusted with a group of people and he dies and he was deceiving them, he did not advise them, he was not honest with them, he did not take care of them. I wish our presidents and our leaders hear this hadith. I don't know how are they going to face Allah Azza wa Jal when they are living with such a luxury and their people are dying out of starvation. What happens if I do that? the Jannah becomes haram on that person. The Jannah becomes haram on that person. He's not allowed. Jannah is prohibited, forbidden for that person who cheated his people. So Imam al-Adil, he makes sure he's honest, and he takes care of his ra'iyah. And he does not differentiate because of race and nationality and financial status. Everybody is equal to him. Second, and I'm so happy to see many youth. Listen, my young brothers and sisters, you have an opportunity. Rasulullah ﷺ said the second one is شاب نشأ في عبادة الله, a young boy, a young girl that grew up worshipping Allah Azza wa Jal. My beloved fathers and mothers, I know how much you love your kids. If you miss this opportunity because you're not a shab anymore, why don't you give this gift to your children? A young brother, a young sister grew up loving Allah, loving the salat, loving the hijab, loving the masajid, loving the Arabic language. They love to worship Allah Azza wa Jal from a young age. We leave our children without salat till they're 15, 16, and then when they become 16 and they do not pray, we come to the Imam. Ya Imam, help me. Ya Habibi, where were you when he was 7? Rasulullah ﷺ started at 7. We leave our daughters without hijab, and she becomes 15, 16. How can she be convinced with hijab now? Everybody on earth have already seen her without hijab. It becomes very hard. When they grew up seeing that this is our life, we are Muslims, this is the best thing that Allah has ever given us, and they live their life as Muslims, khalas. Naturally, the girl will know that she has to become like her mother. The father will imitate his father, the son will imitate his father because he sees him every single salat he's praying. The youth with all that energy and the temptations, they decided to fight. And that's why they have been upgraded to be under the shade of Allah Azza wa Jal. It's not easy. They are being bombarded day and night. Music, haram pictures, clubs, nonsense from social media. And the more nonsense you provide, the more popular you are. And they have to fight all this. Allah said, if you do that, it's not gonna go to waste. I'm gonna put you under my shade when there's no shade except my shade. Third, a man whose heart is attached to the masjid. He leaves Fajr, he cannot wait to come to Dhuhr. He leaves Maghrib, he cannot wait to come back to Isha. He prays in the masjid, and when he finishes, he takes his heart, hang it in the masjid, and he goes to the dunya without any heart, without any love to the dunya. His heart is here. Because when we come to the masjid, we are guests of Allah. And is there any better host? Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, he said, من غدا إلى المسجد أو راح أعد الله له نزله من الجنة كلما غدا أو راح. Every time a man comes to the masjid, day or night, Allah will prepare for him a feast in Jannah. Every time he comes, day or night. And all the steps that we make to the masajid, every step a hasana will be recorded. and an evil deed will be erased. So the third is a person that his heart is attached to the masjid. He loves the house of Allah Azza wa Jal. Fourth, two people who love each other for the sake of Allah Azza wa Jal, meeting for that and parting upon that. What does it mean that I love someone for the sake of Allah? It means that there's no dunya gain from that love. I don't want nothing from you. I see you getting close to Allah, I assist you. I see you doing something wrong, I warn you. I love you for the sake of Allah. Allah Azza wa Jal said in the Hadith al-Qudsi, أين المتحابين بجلالي? Where are the ones who love one another for my sake, so I can shade them under my shade when there's no shade except my shade? And this is one of the, if you look at the seven, this is one of the easiest ones to bring us under the shade of Allah. And from this minbar, I make Allah as my witness that I love you all for the sake of Allah. And I beg Allah with this love to gather me and you under His shade when there's no shade except His shade. Fifth, a man who has been called by a woman, and this woman is very beautiful and of a high status. He was asked by her to commit a fahisha, and he said, I fear Allah. This woman is not only pretty, but she is, like we say now, very famous. And on top of all that, she is the one requesting three things. For someone to resist all that, he is elevated and honored to be under the shade of Allah Azza wa Jal. And all this man did was say one statement: I fear Allah. Ya Ikhwan, if that is the case with someone, with a woman that is so pretty and of status, and she's asking, how about me and you when we see something haram on YouTube on the side, and you click, ya akhi, taqillah ya akhi, fear Allah. Don't click, resist. Do not click. Ittaqillah, and remember that you will never do this if your wife is watching. You will never do this if your parents are watching. But you know who's watching? Allah is watching. The sixth one is a person that gives in charity, and he hides it to the level that his left hand does not know how much his right hand has given. He comes to the masjid, Fajr time, he looks left and right, nobody's there, he put the money and runs. He found an orphan that is in need. Not even his wife, not even her husband. No one knows, because they do not care if others knew or not. As long as Allah knows, they are happy. These people are so honored that they are given the great gift of being under the shade of Allah. They were so sincere in their sadaqah. Which brings us to the other and the last one from the seven. Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, he said, وَرَجُلٌ and a person that remembered Allah when he was alone. She remembered Allah when she was alone. And look at the word used, فَفَاضَت. In Arabic, the word fayadan means flood. Rasulullah ﷺ used a verb from flood to express the tears coming from that man. He said, a person that remembered Allah alone in privacy and his eyes overflown with tears. When was the last time you cried out of fear of Allah? A neglected, deserted ibadah. The Salaf, they used to accuse themselves of hypocrisy if a week passes by and they are not shedding tears. Alone, I remembered my sins. I was alone and I remembered my shortcomings. Don't ever be fooled by your achievements. The ujub, this feeling of you're satisfied or you're doing great, that feeling destroys the amal. Always accuse yourself that you are behind. And we are, wallahi we are. You know, again, in Hajj, when we were walking this walk, and one of the walk was 2 hours and 45 minutes, 117 degrees. But you know what? At the end of the day, I am looking at my air-conditioned room. I'm dreaming about it when I arrive. But not too many people had that luxury. There were thousands of people. Their room was there, right there on the floor, on the ground. And that's it. All they had was the price of the ticket. No 5-star, no 4-star, no 7-star, no stars whatsoever. That's it. And believe it or not, you know how many complaints these people who are going to the air-conditioned room had? While the people who are sleeping on the ground, they're snoring and they're enjoying. So we are behind. We are behind in our duties to Allah Azza wa Jal. قولوا قولي هذا واستغفر الله فاستغفروه إنه هو الغفور الرحيم. بسم الله وحده والصلاة والسلام على من لا نبي بعده. Those 7 are mentioned in one hadith, and there's one person mentioned in a separate hadith. قال رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم من أنظر معسرا أو وضع عنه أظله الله في ظله. Sahih Muslim. Whomsoever, or let me give you an example. I borrowed money from Mas'ud, and when the time was due, I came to Mas'ud and I said, Mas'ud, things are very tough. I'm going through some hardship. Can you give me some more time? He said, sure. If he says, sure, no problem, or wada'an, or he said, you know what, forget about it. Just that statement, he will be under the shade of Allah when there's no shade except his shade. Allahu Akbar. How many times we take each other to court if it's not paid on time, and there is an excuse, there's a valid excuse. I'm not talking about someone who delays for no reason. So my brothers and sisters, I hope that you appreciate this khutbah, but wallahi, you will appreciate it way more if you went to Hajj this year. That was all on my mind. How can we survive on the day of judgment when there's no shade except the shade of Allah? Finally, you know when you go onto the plane You look at the business class and the first class, and you see some spots are empty. So you tell the attendant, can I upgrade here? Can I give you $1,000 or whatever it takes to upgrade? She will tell you, I'm sorry, sir. You should have done it when you were in the airport. When we are on the day of judgment, it's too late. It's too late to upgrade. Now is the time to pick 1, 2, 3 of these 7 or 8 and work hard, because wallahi, by Allah, you're gonna feel so great that you have been chosen and selected to be under the shade of Allah. I beg Allah to make us all under His shade.